The ethical problem we're proposing to redesign is Victoria's parking sign. Parking signs affect all those who share the streets, and the problem is simple: the signs are confusing. The text is crowded and the symbols are not as clear to interpret as assumed. The colour choices of red and green are exclusionary to some vision-impaired drivers. The potential danger of the risks associated with the signs begins at small and likely. A driver can incorrectly interpret a sign and park in a non-parking area, risking a fine or possible towing of their cars, which creates frustration and inconvenience. The greater danger increases when imagining the scenario of a driver deliberating where to park, with only seconds to gauge the parking sign while driving. Being stationary in a driving lane can increase the possibility of a traffic collision, which could be fatal. This means the driver isn't just affected, but potentially other road sharers, including pedestrians, which is the vast majority of us at any given point. This problem becomes a notable ethical failure when reviewing the statistics of fines issued for the City of Melbourne. Essentially, Road Rules number 205, which refers to parking for longer than indicated, and Rule 207, an expired meter, are the leading causes of fines, accounting for 78% of those issued in Melbourne. The Road Safety Rules of 2017, which this policy is based upon, follows a deontological approach. On top of this, Melbourne Council has informally implemented its own utilitarian approach, offering drivers a grace period of 5 minutes from when fines are issued. The frequently asked questions for the City of Melbourne states it is up to the driver to always check the parking signs, placing the burden of responsibility onto the driver, though they have zero capacity to intervene. We argue instead, given the high percentages of fines, it is not the fault of the drivers, but rather the failure of the signage to communicate, placing both the responsibility and the capacity to intervene with the initial designers and councils. The current signs were initially designed by Uniform TCD in compliance with parking management techniques as outlined by Ausroads. They then supply the manufacturer and style guides to VicRoads, who delegate the power management to local councils, who are responsible for the erection of the parking signage. Given that the vetting for parking signs goes through multiple major stakeholders, the sheer scale of the organisations mean there is little opportunity for iterative user testing, with the designs likely to be a top-down approach, designed once, then implemented. This means that the confusion of the signage is likely discovered after implementation, yet there is no process for iterative design with feedback due to the complexity of the approval process and the cost involved with that. Our proposed redesign aims to redo the graphics without altering the physical form of the signs. The poles and placement points remain the same, as their structural design fulfills their use requirements of being weather durable and reflective at night for safety. Only the aluminium plate is swapped, an easy change as they are fixed with bolts, and this helps minimise new manufacturing costs as only the graphics are altered. We also propose that only the most difficult pain points of the park signs are initially redesigned. This is to acknowledge that some parking signs are currently affected, and that offering a triage solution will reduce the overall cost of the process. Our visuals are designed to be concise, using a simplified visual logical hierarchy to move from day to time to length of parking in reading them. This simplicity provides clarity and quicker mental processing, meaning less frustrated drivers, so our roads are safer. We've also proposed the replacement of blue and green to aid visually impaired drivers and aesthetically link it back to the City of Melbourne's current branding. Taking the utilitarianist approach, we've proposed identifying and targeting the existing high fine areas to install the new designs and conduct in situ user testing before scaling up to a statewide rollout. This will enable testing of the concept to ensure the proposed designs improve functionality, thereby avoiding the current design failings. This approach also helps address a key limitation of the redesign. It would be expensive. There are many major stakeholders involved in the approval process. It is unlikely they can be circumvented. It would also be costly to immediately remanufacture and install even a portion of the parking signs in Victoria. This also creates an ethical limitation and consideration around waste, as the signs are currently not recyclable. A further limitation the redesign must consider is the financial impact of the improved signage. There is a possibility this would reduce revenue from parking fines, which may not be desirable to the stakeholders.